Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the OA Part 2, Episode 7. It's called Nina Azarova. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, this episode, things sort of converge a little bit, and kind of, we finally meet Ruskin.
Yeah, do you know what's weird?
Yes.
This doesn't feel like the second last one, does it?
It doesn't. Well, I was kind of feeling that last episode, that it didn't feel like we were close to the ending yet.
No, it didn't feel like we were building towards the end of a season.
Which leads me to think that they at least think they're getting a part 3.
They're ambitious for it, for sure.
I'm not convinced it's going to happen, and I hope it does, because I want an ending to this. Not that I want everything explained, I expect a level of this to be ambiguous, because...
But still an ending.
An ending, yes. I don't feel we're going to have an ending at the end of the next episode. Although...
If we do, I think it might actually be a criticism that it will probably feel like it's coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, so Kareem takes police back to the house. They don't really find anything. He goes to visit. Was his name Fola? I keep wanting to say just Zendaya, but no, Fola, in the hospital, and we find out this spring naturally emits this drug, this vapor, that makes people
poison gas that makes you hallucinate.
Yeah, what was it? It was like poison copper or something like that. It was specific, whatever they said. But,
yeah, I don't remember what exactly it was, but I got the point of it.
Yeah, and for Kareem, this is like, oh, this is what's making people go crazy and jump out windows. There's literally a toxin that's making them.
Pretty good explanation, as things go.
Yeah, like, I get why he wants to buy that and why he's ready to just say, okay, that's it, we've solved it. And she's like, no, like I need to go back in there. Why did you take me out? It looked like I was aging to you, but like I was getting somewhere. And then of course, we'll talk about OA and Nina's stuff separately, but. When he meets Owe later and she's got the thumb drive and we see Michelle like open the stained glass window and then just collapse, it's like, okay, her consciousness went somewhere, right? She travelled.
Yes.
Michelle went somewhere. Now, did she go to Buck? Like, is it like kind of Homer where like Michelle
What's
from Earth 2 is in there as well?
What we learned from the other traveller, Buck and Michelle, they might not be linked to OA, right? In the way that it's we know that Hap, OA, and Homer are linked in I can't remember the grouping. I can't remember what exactly they called it. Doesn't necessarily mean that everyone on that Earth is linked between each other, right?
Yeah, there's some truth to that. They could be linked to other people, but. Basically, we see this, and it's clear to us at least that Michelle travelled somewhere, and of course Kareem goes digging. I do kind of like his reaction to OA when OA actually tries to tell him everything. He's like, "Oh, I'm a traveller from another world," and blah blah blah. He's just like, "You're crazy. You're a psychopath. I'm going to call the police."
Should have left you in the hospital.
Yeah, I shouldn't have helped you escape. This was silly. Now I feel like a moron. I can't blame him. It feels like a really natural reaction, which I like. And he goes digging into Ruskin. He breaks into Ruskin's house, and Ruskin, he's very kind of like, oh, finally, nice to finally meet you. He's been expecting him, that all that kind of thing. And he talks about how he compares what he's doing to the moon landing, like, oh, how many people died in the way of the moon? How many people sacrificed in the way of the moon? And of course, Kareem's like, yeah, but they did that willingly. They knew what they were doing. They knew they were taking a risk. And he's like, yeah, does that really matter though if we get this new perspective? Because he talks about how astronauts, when it went into space, all of a sudden they had this new perspective on Earth, and it was a miracle because we could see how small it was in the vast cosmos and so on. And this was like, oh, this is about new perspective. This is about so seeing where the Earth sits on a more dimensional plane.
It's essentially it's about looking inwards rather than outwards.
Yeah. So, but he takes Kareem upstairs, and lo and behold, Michelle's there in a bed next to her grandmother. I think it was a grandmother.
I think it was grandmother.
Yeah, and it's like she always knew her body was here. Because when Kareem says, you set me up, she's like, no, I asked you to find her. I didn't say anything about her body.
She's here. I found her. What, this is over.
Yeah. It links back to something Owe said earlier, because he says that he's not found a body, so the case isn't over. And Owe's like, that's your problem. You're looking for a body. So
yeah,
I like that. I like that kind of playing with that. And then it reveals that they've had an interest in Kareem. and there was a fourth thing in the dreams. There was three things, but then there was a fourth. Eventually, they all started to dream of the same man. And I think at this point, most people can probably see where this is going.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a problem, because I think at this point you're anticipating his reaction to it. Because he's like saying, "Oh, we got sketch artists in from around the world, all the best police sketch artists. We ended up with like 20 drawings of this person, and they were all the same, give or take, based on the artist's interpretations." And it was him. It was just Kareem over and over again. I like this moment. I don't know about you.
Oh no, I've not been feeling Kareem at all season, and this I just groaned. It's like, of course he's got to be connected to this in a bigger way. I don't. I was hoping he was done with, honestly.
Oh, that was never happening.
I was hoping he was more of a guide for OA, essentially. To we got that moment at the with the octopus that says, "Oh no, you always have someone to you bring with you, protect you," the sort of thing. I was hoping he was going to sound this path for that, and it wasn't necessarily about him.
Well, no, I still think what the octopus said was true. Like,
it was, yeah.
It's just that he is more ingrained into, because at one point didn't it imply that she had like a brother, kind of, or
it did, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that would make him also quite important.
It would. Oh, I just I've not been feeling him. I didn't care about this moment.
No, I wasn't. I felt like this was kind of like his awakening kind of moment, where like he kind of has to start believing that maybe there's more to this than just his like cold hard logic that he's been using since the start of the show, start of the season rather. So
yeah,
for me that was kind of working, because it was intercutting with other stuff. This was kind of like one of the big, because there was like three kind of endings to this episode, and that was the end of his branch of it. It was him seeing these drawings. Very intrigued by all this, and then Owe basically, like, she wakes up in a park. She has to sneak around. She finds the thumb drive, and ultimately she goes back to the club and meets the traveler, the French woman, who tells her a lot of interesting things. One, that she's linked to happen in Homer, and that they can only consistently travel safely if they do it together.
And it wasn't even just that. It was the idea that the reason why she has to travel to worlds that are familiar to her.
She used the word echoes. There's worlds that are echoes, where around the same time she met Hap in her Earth, there was in this Earth, the Nina would have met Hap around the same time.
Yes, and presumably a handful, X amount of other Earths that it also happened on.
But she also clearly says that there's a certain amount of Earths, infinite perhaps, beyond this group of echoes, where this doesn't happen, and if you ended up in one of those Earths, you'd be lost, and you might not be able to like find yourself again in your head. Or whatever.
Yeah. She talks about if you break out of your echo, it can fracture your mind.
Yeah,
which I thought was an interesting concept. So it's infinite, but we're still playing within a set amount, even though it could be a huge amount still.
This could still be thousands for all we know, but.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not disputing that. But it gives us a limit plus more.
Yes.
Right?
And this idea that like Hap is horribly is essential for her safety and her traveling. And she's like, no, I don't want to travel with Hap. I hate Hap. Hap's awful. He's a murderer. He's killed people. He's kidnapped people. He's the worst.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was interesting. And when Owe responded with that, she kind of seemed to be like, well, you're not going to listen to me then, I was wrong about you. And she's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And she kind of, just keep going. So that was interesting. But ultimately, the other thing she tells her is that she actually doesn't take over her alternate selves bodies in the same way that Owe has. She integrates, and the person is still there, kind of like sharing almost.
Yeah, the way she doesn't repress them, because obviously we've been talking about issue over it, and we're getting hints that Nina was still in there, especially earlier on in this episode. When you find the thumb drive, you get these flashes of memory.
Yeah, it's this idea that Owe might theoretically still be in control of what's going on, but she'll have access to all the memories. It'll still be a crucial part of her personality and what's going on. And the end of the episode, she has to go back to a trauma that they share, which in her case is the drowning. So she dunks her head in the bath, and basically we kind of get to see time rewind almost back to the point where the split happened.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, the final moment's her walking in and saying, "I'm Nina Azarova" in a Russian accent. So, so what is she going to discover? What's she going to find? We'll see.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
I imagine she'll go see Ruskin, and we'll see more of that unveiled.
I would assume so. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she also mentioned the bird lady is dead, killed herself.
Yep.
And I'm inclined to believe Ruskin here for some reason. Because when Kareem says, "Oh, how do you know she killed herself? Her body was still warm when I found her," I'm like, I get the impression he does actually know. It's not that he sent someone to kill her. I don't think he did.
No, I'm with you. I think maybe it's something that's kind of happened before, right?
Yeah, or he just has a way of knowing or predicting, or
maybe it was in a dream.
Yeah, someone dreamed it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Which in other shows that would be just a stupid, nonsensical answer.
It would be. That'd be
that would actually be a reasonable answer here.
That would be a terrible answer in any other show, but here it's just fine.
Yeah.
So that's good. And we get Hap as well, who's going to release Scott. And of course, I'm like, this is a ruse. He's up to something. And he's like, "I'll let you go tomorrow. Renata can't go. She's not ready. But I'll let you go. I want a favour first, though." I actually kind of like how Scott just immediately gave him the finger. It was just this kind of moment where he's like, "I'm gonna do you a favour. Piss off.
Yeah.
You kidnapped me for 7 years. I did shit."
Yeah. You don't deserve a favour after that. Not really.
But he kind of bargains with him and says, "Okay, Renata goes too, and I'll do it for you. I'll be the guinea pig one last time." And he sends him out of the tunnel. He sends him out of the house, and Scott doesn't, get through it. He gets the thing in his ear, and this ends with Hap taking it out. It blossoms in the water into a flower, and then he eats part of it, and it's like he hears other dimensions.
Yeah, this is something else.
So, just to put this in perspective, in the last 5 minutes of this episode, we have Hap eating part of an ear flower that lets him hear other dimensions. Kareem finds out that all these people have been dreaming about him, and then Oe becomes Nina, or integrates with Nina in a manner of speaking.
It's a busy 5 minutes.
It's a busy 5 minutes. And also Homer finds out about Rachel's death. Although Hap, of course, lies and says it was a suicide, but...
Well, yeah. Obviously, he's not going to tell him the truth, is he?
Because that's what he's going. Yeah, that's exactly. So there you go.
So it's a solid episode, although rather unexciting for a penultimate episode of a season.
I think the ending is exciting, but the first the first 2/3 of it are very kind of middle of the season pace as opposed to
Don't get me wrong, those last 5 minutes are very exciting, but most of the episode kind of feels like we're just chugging along as normal, and that's not usually a bad thing, right? But when I'm thinking, why are we not really building up to this ending here? It feels a little bit weird.
It's kind of strange because it feels like it almost. I wonder if it's just a suffering of only having 8 episodes. Like they didn't have time to really build the pacing up here.
Can you imagine if they were given 13? We wouldn't be seeing this for another year and a half yet.
That's true. That is true. And I'm curious to see how the next episode works, because I can't imagine there's no continuation of Earth 1's group. So I imagine we're going to get both.
Yeah, that would be weird. Do you know, I was looking at noticing the directors. So most of the season is done by 2 directors.
Mm-hmm.
You have the main one who does all of them except the other Earth and this one. Right, the Earth 1 is done by 1 director, so that's the second director. So this one is the odd episode out in that it has a 3rd director, and I'm not sure why. That feels like it could be just a timing thing, right? Scheduling.
Yeah, we need someone to come in and do some work.
It could well be, but when you have one director doing 5 of the episodes, right, and you can see how those are linked, and this. This belongs with those other ones from assuming the last one is kind of what we expect. Having the other director for the Earth 1 stuff, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention this, but the Earth 1 stuff's in a different aspect ratio. I forgot to mention that.
It is,
before.
Yeah.
which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm assuming that matches the aspect ratio of season 1, because I think Earth 2 has a slightly wider ratio, which didn't have in season 1.
Yeah, I would assume so. That you're right. I didn't notice when I started this season, obviously, because I hadn't
Yeah.
seen season 1 in so long. It wasn't fresh enough for me to notice that it was different. But you're probably right. That probably is matches season 1's.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would do. Which is good. It's a simple technique, which is effective in making them feel different.
Yeah.
No, I mean I've been into this season quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it does with the finale, and if anyone crosses over or whatever. I mean, my only concern at this point really is that there's only one episode left, and I'm not sure what it's going to do here. I feel like season 1 as a whole was a better paced season compared to this so far, but
Yeah.
I might not feel that way after the finale. After the finale, it might all click and go, okay, I get why it's been paced like this.
Possibly. This episode definitely feels the odd one out in pacing terms, right? Because the first 6, I can clearly see a progression. Even if I didn't like, all of what was in it, I can see the progression of the pacing for sure. This one felt like a step back. Like it felt like it was just okay. We're just still chugging along, and I just don't quite get that.
I think it was just because there was maybe a lot of scenes in the first half where it was like everyone sort of regrouping again after being in the house. It was Nina getting back to the house, her apartment, and like she's with the old guy, and there was nothing wrong with the scene. It was fine, but it was like from a pacing perspective, it felt like maybe now's the time to just be a bit choppier with how quick things.
Be a little bit bolder.
Yeah. But I mean that's the thing. Once she meets Kareem again, though, and he reacts the way he does, that's kind of where for me the episode kind of ticks up into high gear. Because from that point on, it feels like okay, we're back. We've now
got some urgency.
Had some urgency. We've got an emotional kind of point with the characters where it's kind of propelled them into their next point. But yeah, I almost wonder if it would have been worth Owe meeting the Traveler earlier on in the episode and having her struggle with the idea of what to do.
Yeah, just break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That might have helped.
Or maybe this was the one to start cutting between Earths. Maybe this was the one to start integrating, doing a bit of both.
If it does that at all.
Yeah. I think it will next episode.
I hope it does, but I'm not confident that it will.
And if it does, I wonder how they handle it. Like what the through line is. If there is, I mean, it doesn't need to be. Like it could just cut back and forth, and that's fine. There's no reason why it can't. But
that will feel different, right? Given that they've been so separate.
And maybe that's how you make it feel like a finale. Like that's kind of what makes it feel special, is that we are just going back and forth, like they're
bringing them together,
like they're converging, like finally things are kind of coming together.
Yeah.
I could see that being the case.
Could be.
But no, we'll see what the finale does in a day or two's time. So look forward to our finale discussion, and we'll discuss the season as a whole and what it's done with themes and everything else. I will say I do wish it was a longer season. I'm getting to this point. I'm like, this could have been had another 2 and been 10
comfortably. Yeah,
it could have totally done that. But we'll see how it goes. So that is the OA episode 7. So next time is the finale. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. You get some stuff early, you get some bonuses. We're going to have a look-see, and you get a list of all the different shows we have, all different audio feeds, all that kind of thing. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?